Okay, so here's the second page of our pretest. What I will direct you guys first before I do any more explanation is the fact that 4 and 5 of pretest are basically coincide with 1.4 in my math lab. So after watching me do my thing for more practice, please hit 1.4. Alright, and so before I do this though, let me go ahead and start with the very last question here about graphing numbers on a number line. Let's make sure we know what a number line looks like. So a number line, what we're going to do with it is we obviously start with some sort of horizontal, it could be a vertical line, and then invariably what you guys do, right, is you put a 0 on it, right? And usually you put that 0 right in the middle because it separates what's positive from what's negative. And then the next thing you do is you start writing down, right, little tick marks and representing them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And of course we have their opposites, right? -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and so forth and so on. So there's our number line. And it turns out that every real number we can ever talk about has its location on the number line. So everybody's there. And that also brings up this idea of order. When is something greater than? When is something less than? When are we equal? Well, equality is pretty easy, right? Because equality means that we're basically the same number. 4 is 4, 3 is 3. But greater than and less than are a little tough, especially when we have negative numbers. And so let me go ahead and redirect you. I know we say that this is greater than, but what it really means is that we're to the right of. And less than really means to the left of. Because that's actually what's happening when we try to order our number line. We're basically talking about position, left and right. So if you're to the right of a number, you're greater than the number to the right of it. If you're to the left of a number, you're less than. And that's really what's happening, even though we say greater than or less than. And it really only makes sense on the positive side. When I start thinking about the negative side, things get a little crazy, as you'll see here in a moment. But if you use my new language, you can't go wrong. Alrighty? So in number 4, what we're basically being asked to do is say this 10 over 11, is that less than 6 over 7? Or stated another way, is it to the left of 6 over 7? Is 3 to the right of -7? Is -5 to the left of -11? Or is the absolute value of -4 to the left of 7? Absolute value of 7. And again, I'm using my new language, so right of and left of, because it actually makes more sense rather than greater than or less than. So the first part is dealing with this fraction. What's tough about this, number one, I'm not allowing you to use calculator, so a lot of you would probably want to start going to your decimals and like that, which is doable. But without a calculator, what I have to figure out is a way to compare the fraction 10 over 11 to the fraction 6 over 7 so I can get an idea where they're at on the number line. Both of them are really, really close to 1 though, although it's kind of hard to be very accurate on my number line. What we're going to do is take advantage of the concept of an equivalent fraction. So we know, right, that the common denominator between these guys is 77. So if I multiply the top and bottom by 7 over 7 here, and 11 over 11 there, what I'm going to do is build an equivalent fraction. This turns into 70 over 77. Is that to the left or less than? This is 66 over 77. And so now that my denominators are the same, it really comes down to comparing my numerators. And so does 70, does that sit to the left or is it less than 66? And of course a lot of you guys are going to say no. Right? So this statement is false. It's not a true statement. All right? And again, it's kind of hard to see on my number line, but somewhere way down the road here, there's 66 and there's 70. 66 is actually to the left of 70, not to the right of it. Okay? So we'll go from there. Is 3 greater than -7? Or stated another way, is 3 to the right of -7? Well, if we go to our number line, right, there's 3, and somewhere on my number line there's -7. So we can see that 3 does in fact fall to the right of -7. It's more to the right. So this one would be true. Although you could also argue that the greater than makes sense here, right? Because I'd rather have $3 in my pocket because it is truly greater than being in debt $7. So the greater than still makes sense there, but for sure we have an answer of true. And hopefully you're starting to see it's basically your location on the number line. Where am I at on the number line? Who's to the right? Who's to the left? That's really important for the next one. -5, is that less than -11? All right, and if we think in terms of size, right, here's where things can get really confusing, because -11 is a larger debt or a larger whole than -5. So you would probably think, well, this is, a true statement, right? -5 is less than -11. However, that's not what we're really saying, right? What we're saying is, am I to the left of? Is -5 to the left of -11? And of course, there's -5, and -11 would be way down there. So when you look at it in terms of its relationship on the number line, -5, right, is that to the left of -11? And of course, the answer is no. So this is false. -5 actually is further to the right than -11. So that is a false statement. All right. So, another idea is that the further left you are on the number line, the smaller you are. The further to the right you are on the number line, the bigger you are. And again, that's just us trying to use the language you probably learned in grade school, when in fact they should just be telling you from the get-go, it's, am I to the right or the left of? That's all order is about. Am I to the left or the right of a number? All right. Here, the next challenge is that we have absolute value. Now, absolute value does not mean opposite. Absolute value is basically a distance you are from 0. So how far am I from 0? So -4, right? How far does it sit from 0? Well, it's 4 paces away. Absolute value is 7. Well, how far does 7 sit away from 0? Well, it sits 7 paces away. So we're now asking ourselves, is 4 less than 7? Or stated another way, is 4 to the left of 7? And that actually is a true statement. It actually satisfies both. 4 is a smaller number than 7. 4 is to the left of 7. So either statement's true. So going in review here for all their different reasons, the first one's false, B is true, C is false, and D is true. And it's all about your placement on the number line. Okay, so how about I stop there, shoot another video for the next section.